Voice of the Rock Lobsters, Matteen Rad, back with another Coach's Corner here on the Rock Lobster Network. If you didn't tune in last night or weren't in the building, you missed a beauty of a game. The Rock Lobsters stormed back from being down by 2 goals twice against the Monroe Moccasins, tied it up late in regulation to go on and win in a shootout. I'm joined, as always, by head coach Steve Martinson. Coach Marty, with us being the victims of some great goaltending performances as of late, were you at all worried in that one that the same thing was going to happen last night?
You as the game goes on and you're not scoring, you kind of look at it and you're going, is it here we go again? But I kind of look at the big picture, and we've scored a lot of goals this year, and going back to the last game, I didn't get the scouting. I mean, I didn't get the breakdown of the shots until yesterday because the game wasn't on. We have a service, and we actually had 86 shots on last Sunday. We hit the net 46 times. They blocked 15 shots, so we ended up with 26 shots that missed the net. And I think we talked about, we were focusing earlier the week on shooting the puck better and making good offensive plays. So, yeah, you got that in the back of your mind, but you also know you got a lot of guys that can score, and you just got to keep getting pucks to the net.
The team found itself down after just 40 seconds. A goal scored by Houston Wilson in his first ever minute as a Moccasin. Houston, a former teammate of Garrett, Malik, and Orca with the Pensacola Ice Flyers. I believe he was also a former roommate of Garrett's. I was curious if those guys in that situation or even other situations across the season will give you the scouting report of who they know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I knew about Houston. I made a trade for him, an offer. I had a deal done for him a month ago, and then one of the issues with the league, you got multiple owners. So the one team that I had the deal with they got called off by the other team, and then lo and behold, a month later, he ends up in Monroe. So after that deal got voided, so to speak, because I had a deal, and then I signed. That's the next day I signed Willie from Monroe. So it was a bit of a payback, but yeah, I mean, he's a good player, and he certainly helped them, and he moves his feet well, but he's not Milan.
Well said.
We got the best players from Pensacola.
Well, speaking of great players from Pensacola, we've seen some tremendous individual performances this year, but I don't know if you'll agree with me. I feel like a lot of them have come in all-around dominant performances from the team where you didn't have to really worry about what the result was at that point. What I don't think we've seen is a team down in a bad way and one guy pulls us in a position to win. That felt like what we saw from Malik Johnson last night. Tell us what you saw from Malik in the win.
Well, I mean, Malik was shooting the puck good. I mean, he hit the corners on both goals. I mean, I think they were both top left side, high shots, and hit the net and didn't shoot the puck into the goalie. So, but I mean, there's more to it than just Malik. I mean, it's a line, it's guys playing together, it's a group, but Malik stepped up and finished when other guys weren't, and that's one of the things you look for with your veteran players when things aren't going your way. You really want the guys that that lead by example to get the job done.
You talked about before this game mixing the lines up a little bit. It's a little bit of a reunion there. We've seen that line just a little bit. I think the first couple games when Malik came back, but Malik with Milan and Glukharev, what did you think about their chemistry?
Well, they've always had chemistry. There's reasons why I split people up, and then there's reasons. I mean, one of the reasons I put Malik back with Milan is no other team in the league has targeted Milan like they've gone after him. I mean, like when their guy jumped Milan, and I'd never seen anything like that in 25 years of coaching, where a team's tough guy jumped the league's leading scorer. He got a measly 2-game suspension. So, one of the reasons I put Malik with them, I don't trust their team and to not just play a normal. I have no problem with physical hockey. You know what I mean? I have no problem, and I got no problem with finishing your checks, and but I wanted to have Malik out there in case they did. They took a couple of shots at him, and it's guys that won't fight other tough guys that do it. Obviously, we have a lot of our tough guys out of the lineup, so but we want to finish first in the division, and they're worried about what they should be worried about is just making the playoffs. So they got to win, and so do we.
I think the thing about Garrett is that he won't back down from anybody, but is that something that concerns you? Because he's your big talent guy, and you don't want him going into the box for any reason. So, Garrett, would you rather him sort of back down a little bit in those situations?
Garrett's Garrett. I mean, you don't want, he's not going to give an inch to anybody. And actually, he's pretty tough too. I mean, he can fight. I mean, we don't want him fighting, but I know I'd heard about him, from his other coach in Pensacola that had him before that. So I knew he was a tough guy. But I mean, you don't really want your leading scorer. You don't want to risk him, breaking a finger or, breaking a knuckle and in a fight with somebody that's not a good player. And like Bacon kind of jumps him. And I think it was Stefani that, so it's guys that they don't go around anybody with any reputation. But like I said, I mean, the number one thing right now, we have more games with them. And the number one thing right now is, we want to get back in first in winning percentage in the division. And we got to win games to do that.
It felt like the turning point was the power play goal to make it 3-2. It was getting down to crunch time. The power play has had its struggles as of late, but you get your goal with half of that third period to play. Is that when you started thinking to yourself, all right, we've got this. This is our game?
Well, I never think that we can come back. I mean, I always feel like, I mean, unless you've got a bunch of guys out of the lineup, with the team that we have this year, I mean, I think we scored, one of the things we scored, I think, 5 goals in one period against Monroe in the third period. I think maybe it was the second game of the year. We know that we scored a lot of goals against this goalie. And we know that, when we've gotten to them, they've come in bunches. So I don't think anybody felt like, we didn't have we weren't going to come back. It's just whether you could do it or not. I think we all felt we could. Um, but like the other thing is we got to get more guys into the fight tonight. We got to get more guys, contributing offensively and contributing with finishing their checks. And Bo got an injury last night, and Bodan Shinkinko, he's out but Orca's back. So we get another guy that finishes his checks in the lineup. But we need, we just need more guys, contributing right now.
How symbolic was the game time goal of Malik's efforts on the night, especially considering it was the one that he didn't score, with him being edged out on the boards, still managing to get the pass off to the slot, despite the fact he's prone on the ice for Glukharev to redirect it in. How symbolic was that?
Well, I mean, it's a great second effort, and that's what I look at. I mean, I'll let you talk about this being symbolic, but I look at it as just a good second effort. He's on, and he's just wanting to get, try to finish the play and make the play. And yeah, it's just a good all around effort to help the team.
William Lavalier probably didn't get the start to the game that he was looking for, but he grew and grew and grew into that matchup. And then he goes on to save all 3 shots in the shootout. It was a busy night for Willie. How have you liked his play since coming in? I know you wanted him to bring him in for his experience.
Well, so, I think last night's game's a little bit more indicative of his real game. He wasn't playing much, and they had 3 goalies and they weren't playing him. It's tough to play 3 goalies, and he'd been up in the ECHL. And so he was the odd man out. I think they probably would have liked to have changed that now that they've been having goaltending problems, but so he wasn't playing a lot. So we knew when we got him, he had to kind of play himself back into shape. And our schedule was, we had a lot of games and not a lot of practices. So I think it helped him this week getting a lot of shots. And I think, they shot the puck well. It was a couple of rebound goals that ended up right on their stick. And the second goal went off our guy. It didn't, it wasn't a shot that they took. So it was kind of a tough start, but, it wasn't anything to do with our goaltending.
I think you mentioned it, the Monroe team did a good job shooting the puck, but I think another thing that they did really well was they had a great net front presence and made Willie play an uncomfortable game at the start. How difficult is it to battle and defend that, and what is the remedy for it?
Well, it's called box out. You got to put pressure on the puck. The problem with boxing out is you can only do it for so long before you're called with interference. So in some of the matchups they might have. They got a couple. They got 2 or 3 big forwards. Most of their forwards aren't big, but they got a few big guys that they're hard to box out if you're if they're one of our smaller D. And we had Dion playing. Although Dion did a great job playing defense, he's not a defenseman, and he's been practicing at defense because I knew if we had a problem, that would be his best chance to get in the lineup. So he's been practicing at defense. Thought he did a good job. So we got to try to box out, and then if the longer they're allowed to have the puck in the offensive zone, the easier it is for their forwards to get to the front of the net. So that's hockey 101, and we talk about it all the time. When we're good, we have a lot of net presence, and when we're not getting to the front of the net.
When Jack Bostet left, I remember a conversation you and me had here telling me that from here on out, the goaltenders will pick themselves. Do you still have that belief? And what goes directly into that process from your perspective on how convincing a goalie needs to play to earn the next game?
Well, there's 2 things going on with that. Like I said, is things changed a little bit when I got Willie, and he's a more established goalie still. Part of knowing that if he's going to have a chance to be his best, he's got to play some games. And because we weren't practicing, so that kind of switched gears a little bit on that. And then we've had games where Rosie has played really good, so I went back with him the next night. So it's not etched in stone how I'm doing it, and but obviously if you have a shutout, you're playing again. But there's more to it than that. Part of it was, Willie came from Monroe, and Monroe wasn't happy that I signed him, and I thought Willie would be pretty motivated to get a win against him. Not that Rosie wouldn't, but there's a lot of things that go into decisions of what I'm doing with the goaltending, other than just who's hot.
Philip Virgili ends up having the game winner in the shootout, and he's really become your go-to guy in sudden death. What qualities does Phil possess that makes him good in the shootout?
Well, his top qualities, he's almost Norwegian. So, I'm half Norwegian, half Danish, and he's Swedish. So that's probably his top qualities. He's not quite, he's close, but he's not Norwegian. But that's no, I mean, he's just a money guy. He's good around the net. He's good. He gets his chances in tight, and he's confident. One of the things when you're doing a shootout is obviously you want to have skill, but you got to have guys that are confident and coming in and knowing that they can make a play.
In the FPHL, the game-winning shootout goal counts as a goal in player statistics. I was wondering what you think of that rule. Do you like it, not like it?
Well, the guys that score like it, you know what I mean? Because, but I don't really think it's a good rule. It favors, like I was more for letting everybody shoot. And I voted against where you can just drop it to 3 shooters because it's a team sport. And, I think the fans would love to see some other guys shoot, and it gives other guys an opportunity, and then everybody has an opportunity to have the winning goal. In this, you're really giving it the chance to have, that goal count on your stats to only, 3, 4, maybe 5 guys. And I'm a little bit old school and about, it's still being a team sport, even though you need individual skills and stats all go into that. But it's not something that I vote for or I think is a particularly good thing.
Orca, we thought he might be good to go last night, but he'll be back in tonight. Were you just being extra cautious with his return, and did having Zinchenko make you feel a little safer about keeping Orca out of the game?
Yeah, that wasn't my call. Orca just told me that he didn't think he was ready to go and would be ready to go tomorrow. So it's pretty hard to tell a player to play if he's not in his mind that he's good to go. So he's in tonight, and I think he's going to be fine. I don't think he's going to have any issues. So
you mentioned earlier that Zinchenko took a knock, but he made his Rock Lobster debut last night. He laid a monster hit in his first shift. I think it was clear that he's still adjusting to a new team, but he had some shining moments as well. What did you make of Bodon's debut?
Yeah, so, I look at it as, and this is what I told our guys, is that here's a guy that came from Danville where they don't have anything. They have bad apartments, they don't get treated very well. And he comes here where we've got, the nicest place to play in the league. And what does he do? He's like, I want to play here. I'm going to go out, and I talked to him about the way we want to play. We want to play skill. We want to play fast, and we want to play heavy. And he just smoked the guy. He actually got injured early in the game and was playing through it, so he wasn't playing the game that he's capable of playing. So he was injured, didn't say anything about it. We found out about it after the game, so he's out for the weekend. But I don't think, nobody has seen I think he would have been more like the player he was early in the game, the whole game. And it changed. And when it went back, when I found out of the injury, I'm like, okay, well, that explains it. And I don't want to really talk more about it. It's just, he'll be back at some point, but he'll be out this weekend.
Well, I'll go into my last question then, Coach. Going into tonight, what do you think your team needs to do to play a more complete game and secure 3 points instead of 2 in overtime?
Well, you look at the first goal. I mean, we passed the puck right to him. We had a simple play, and we had a couple things. Just go D to D and go move the puck up the other side. And I didn't like. That same thing with our power play. We're making selfish decisions and taking bad shots. Just there's no other way to talk about it. We're just taking bad shots and making bad decisions. So power play, and the best power play, nobody cares who scores. So our power play's got to get going. It's got to get unselfish and move the puck, and then we got to get traffic at the net. If you don't like the shot, we still got to get to the net. So that's one thing. And then, using your teammates a little bit better. And, we had a pinch on a 2-on-1. We didn't play the puck or the man, and, they ended up getting a rebound again, right? Oh, the 2-on-1 ended up going in off our defenseman. So, we got to not hand them things, make them have to work for, like their third goal. We actually had everybody in a position. I don't know how the puck got through everybody's stick, to the guy in the top of the circle. Everybody was in pretty good position. And then it ended up, on the net, and then the rebound came right to their guys. So that's a kind of a play that you're going to have stuff like that happens, that we just don't want to hand them everything and make them work for everything they get.
2 games to go in this 3-game set against the Monroe Moccasins. Coach, looking forward to another exciting game tonight. I'll see you there.
Thanks.